Welcome to this week's edition of Reverse Mortgage Weekly with your reverse mortgage expert, Zach Smith at Chariot Financial. If you'd like to learn more about us, our organization, you can reach us at chariotreverse.com. That's chariotreverse.com, chariotreverse.com. Well, welcome to this week's edition of Reverse Mortgage Weekly, where we go over information about the reverse mortgage product. I thought I would switch things up a little bit and go over some information about home health care. You know, a lot of folks, one of the things that people talk about with the reverse mortgage, especially if you have heirs, is that they don't want to, there's this misconception that if you do a reverse mortgage, you're going to leave less to your children. But really the question that I would ask, and this is something that is really not an original question that I had, it was actually a pretty important question that a Wall Street Journal article had about 5 years ago, that the title was, you know, our parents could be our largest financial risk. And the reason is the cost of healthcare, the cost of aging is become absolutely just an enormous cost for all Americans, especially when you look at situations where folks are aging outside of their home. So going into a facility, things of that nature. It's sad, but you do see people in that situation. I mean, I know here in Colorado, it's anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 a month for 24-hour care in these facilities. So, you know, what happens often is that people will be in a position where they feel like, okay, well, I'll just sell my house. I'll take those funds and then I'll go into a facility and that'll last me for a long time. But they don't realize that $8,000 to $12,000 a month gets to add up. And on top of that, not only is it just siphoning their entire life savings during that time that they're in there, but the quality of life in some cases is not as they would like. You know, when people age in place, it's really a much better situation for them. And this is just what the data tells us. This isn't even an opinion. This is based on data that they have of people who age in place. People are much more comfortable, they're more familiar. So I thought I'd switch up things a little bit here today. And number one, to pose the question that most people are concerned about leaving something to their kids. They're not concerned about their kids having to supplement their income so that they can age gracefully. And in some cases, that's who I get the call from, is not the person who wants to do the reverse mortgage, but from the kids. You know, a good example of that is a gal that we did a reverse mortgage for her father a couple of years ago. You know, he was making about $1,700 in his Social Security each month. Well, his mortgage payment was $1,200. This guy had $500 a month to live off of, to get groceries, to get gas, to do all the things that cover his utilities, all of those things. He had $500. So what was happening? Well, the daughter was supplementing her income so that her father could stay in the home. She didn't have room for him in his home or in her home. And he wanted to age in place. He wants to stay in his home. I mean, it's his neighbors, it's his garden, it's all of those things that have such an incredible emotional connection to people. So basically what had happened is that she called me and said, look, we can't afford it anymore. We're going broke taking care of my dad. So what we did was we converted his current mortgage into a payment optional reverse mortgage. So his total payment was about $1,200, but his principal and interest payment was right around $900. So by putting his loan into a reverse mortgage into a payment optional program, well, then he freed up another $900 each month. So now instead of the money going from the savings into the mortgage payment, well, it's going the other way now. Now he doesn't have $500 to live off of. Now he's got about $1,400 to live off of. So the quality of life is just much, much better in that instance. You know, another good point that I just wanted to bring up was, you know, a gal I was talking to the other day said, oh, you know, I go to these networking meetings, you know, because in my line of work, you know, I'm in sales. So I got to go and shake a lot of hands, kiss a lot of babies. And, you know, I met this lady, I said, oh, I'm a reverse mortgage planner. Oh, I don't like those programs. You know, my girlfriend her parents had one of those. And, you know, when they sold the house, they only got $7,000. Well, they had it for 20 years. So over the course of that 20 years, do you know how much they would have paid in mortgage payments? About $268,000. I did the math because I was really, I was kind of, trying to explain these concepts. Well, over the course of that 20 years, someone would have had to pay that 268,000. I mean, that's what the mortgage payment would have added up to out of pocket. And keep in mind, when you're paying a mortgage payment, most of your payment is going towards interest. A 30-year fixed is really stacked against the consumer. You're paying 50% of the interest in the first 10 years. So your hard-earned income, your Social Security, your retirement funds, if you're in a 30-year fix, most of that's going to help the bank out. So that just doesn't make any sense to me. So I just would ask, hey, well, who was going to pay that $268,000 over the last 20 years? Was it her parents? What kind of quality of life would they have had if they had to make that monthly payment out of pocket for 20 years? Or would it have been her? What would her retirement look like if she had no money to put away and had to use that to supplement her parents? Yes, she would have got more equity at closing, but what would the quality of her life or the quality of her parents' life look like? The reverse mortgage is a great program, and I've seen it change people's lives overnight, literally overnight. I've had people weeping at closing because they have this huge burden that's just been lifted. So yes, they didn't get as much equity or proceeds at closing after having a reverse mortgage for 20 years. But you know what? They lived in that house for 20 years and they had a very comfortable existence. It wasn't stressful. I mean, who knows? Stress, all the studies are doing about stress these days and longevity. I mean, stress will kill you. It will. It can shorten your lifespan. So a lot of people don't look at this program the way, in my opinion, they should, which leads us to why we do this Reverse Mortgage Weekly, is to expand your mind, to see things from a different angle, and learn a little bit more about a program that is a truly lifesaver for a lot of people. Well, so I digress. So getting back to aging in place is really what we're talking about. One of the great ways for older adults to age in place is to have a good home health care company. These folks provide all kinds of things. Some of them are medical, some of them are non-medical. So some may come by, provide medical care. Some are just there to have a hand in maybe grocery shopping, companionship, light cleaning, things like that. Just there to be a friend so that you don't have to have so that the senior or the older adult doesn't have to worry about a lot of these chores, laundry, stuff like that. So home health care is a great way for people to age in place. So this is a presentation geared towards kind of highlighting the great things about home health care. So home health care is extremely valuable service to clients. I mean, we've got medication management, preventative health care, trust, compassion, medical assistance, professional skilled nursing, improve people's wellness. All of those are kind of under the umbrella of what home health care companies will do. There's several of them out there. If you are interested, feel free to contact me at chariotreverse.com, and I can put you in touch with ones that I know and have met personally. So according to AARP in 2021, if people are given the choice, 77% of people would age and prefer to age in place. 77% of people. Benefits of aging in place. Well, many older adults associate aging in place with positive attributes such as maintaining one's autonomy and independence in a community that offers social connections and access to services. A familiar environment and a place to contribute to an older adult's sense of identity can promote successful utilization of neighborhood services and can help one remain socially connected thanks to the proximity of friends. Research indicates that higher satisfaction with one's social network and neighborhood integration is directly correlated with decreased feelings of loneliness. In addition, perceived safety and sufficiency of neighborhood services is also linked to an older adult's experience of loneliness. So why is it so important for our seniors to stay in their own homes and receive home care? Why is it such a big deal? Well, every senior is different and has a unique set of reasons for wanting to stay in their homes. Number one, the physical stress of moving. For many seniors, moving out of a family home means sorting through decades of keepsakes and possessions. Even if families hire a moving service, friends and family will still need to go through these items and arrange for an estate sale or storage options. So, when we moved into our last place, we moved about 2 years ago, and I told my wife, I said, you know what? I'm not moving again. This is it. I'm never moving again. It is a really hard thing to go through because, not only do you have to get all the stuff out, but then you have to organize it. You have to move it to the new place. And, going through the boxes, when the movers unloaded the boxes and everything in our new place, I'm opening up some of these boxes. I'm like, why did this make the move? This made the move. These, these old overalls or old, clothes I don't wear anymore, don't even fit anymore. How did this make the move? But it does. It's one of those things where moving is just complicated. Fear of losing independence, that's a big deal. People want to have their independence. And of course, in some cases, older adults are unable to take care of themselves. So they do need to have people come by and check on them and have that care. But there is a fear of losing independence for older adults. Anxiety over leaving a community. Changing decade-old routines, and some seniors may worry that a move will further isolate them from their friendships that have lasted an entire lifetime. So also emotional ties to the family home. I mean, a house is just a house, but a home is something to be cherished. Leaving a physical structure that has encapsulated decades worth of memories and is a backdrop to family holidays, reunions can be very emotional. The fear of the unknown. They worry about losing valuable relationships and feeling left out of the future family functions and from family gatherings. So older adults face many challenges aging in place and having a home health care plan. Financial challenges make it impossible for seniors to stay in their homes sometimes. Significant financial challenges for seniors, particularly those with monthly income primarily consisting of Social Security. Historically, those benefits have done a poor job of keeping pace with inflation. And when we throw in rising healthcare costs, it's easy to see why so many older Americans are struggling. Hospitalizations can come up, drug prescriptions, home improvement, medical purposes, dental care, optometrists, wheelchair, including operating, insurance premiums for healthcare. I mean, there's a lot of challenges that older adults face right now. And this is really whether you're in their home or out of their home. Challenges for clients and partnerships with home health care partnerships. Well, insurance issues. Sometimes people aren't able to use home health care because the insurance won't pay for it. If you know anything about insurance companies, I mean, their main operating thing is to pay as little as possible out on claims. And I mean, that's just kind of the reality of it. Medicare won't pay for what they call custodial services. That means like CNA visits, wound care supplies, dressings, ointments, urinary supplies, catheters, insertion tray, saline, flushing irrigation tray, chuck pads, barrier cream, adult diapers. The list goes on and on of things that insurance will not pay for, or Medicare and things like that. So older adults are already short on cash flow. So paying for these out of pocket is an issue for many. So a lot of them forego getting home health care because of this issue. And in some cases, the barrier to scheduling home health care services. So again, this is something that comes into effect when the insurance won't pay for it. And again, they're trying to pay for as little as possible. So Chariot Financial has a solution for older adults that are having a hard time paying for home health care, which can lead to them having to sell their property, move into a facility, or whatever the case may be, move in with family, whatever that looks like. Sometimes it's a better idea for them to move in with family. In fact, I'm a proponent of that. I really am. I really am. With some older adults, they want their independence, they want their freedom, and certainly that is something that everyone should want and have. But boy, if you're having a hard time, taking care of yourself and taking care of your needs, maintenance on the property, then it might be time to have someone move in or to have home health care come by and work on some of those things. There's a lot of nonprofits in town too that can help out with people. One of my most favorite nonprofits is A Little Help. I have had so many success stories from them. In fact, we got to get them on the Reverse Mortgage Weekly here at some point. I'm going to reach out to them, by golly. I'm going to do it. They're a group that really needs to have a light shined on them. So reverse mortgage loans are designed to create cash flow for seniors that own their home. So a lot of seniors don't want to move, but because of some of these costs, they feel like they have to, especially if you're paying a monthly mortgage payment. If you're paying it's still my assertion. You guys who've seen my previous videos and hear me talk or have met with me, my assertion is that if you're 62 or over, you should not be making a mortgage payment any longer. Because if you are, you're taking it from two buckets, one of two buckets that you shouldn't be touching at all. Number one bucket, your income. If you're paying a monthly mortgage payment, you're taking it from your monthly income, which is sometimes less than what it was when you were working full time. Well, that's just a recipe for disaster, because if you continue to take funds from an income like the fella I mentioned earlier, if you're making $1,700 a month and you're paying out 12 of that 17 every month to make that mortgage payment, which most of it is probably going to interest anyways, it's not even going to paying off the loan. That doesn't make any sense to me. The other bucket that you'd be taking it from, if you're paying a mortgage payment over 62, would be your savings, your monthly savings, your 401k, your retirement fund, whatever you have socked away. I've had several clients that are just exhausting their savings every month. They pull money out of their savings so that they can make the mortgage payment. Again, that mortgage payment is mostly going to interest anyways. So they're taking their hard-earned nest egg that they've worked for their whole life and putting it into the mortgage where most of it's going to savings. So basically handing that hard-earned nest egg, a penny saved is a penny earned. Taking that and giving it right over to the bank in interest. That just does not make any sense to me. It does not make any sense, especially since our savings really becomes our crown jewel when it comes to retirement, because we don't want to run out of money prematurely. We don't want to run out of those funds. Of course, I have clients, they want their last check to bounce, but, some folks, they want to pass on their nest egg, but you certainly don't want to run out of it prematurely. And if you're taking money out of it so that you can hand it over to the bank in interest, that's a good way to deplete those funds. So again, I stand by my assertion. If you're over 62, you should not be paying a mortgage payment any longer, because if you are, you're taking it from your income or you're taking it from your savings. Both of those buckets you need in retirement. So reverse mortgage loans are designed to create cash flow for seniors that own their home. So what are the benefits of a reverse mortgage? Well, number one, you get access to equity from their home as a line of credit to pay for home health care services or to pay for whatever you want. Take a cruise around the world, go buy a Maserati, or don't touch it at all. Just keep it in savings. But the thing is that getting access to that equity is key, because equity is great to have, but the problem with equity is it's not liquid. Having a lot of equity is a lot like having a glass coffee table right there in the middle of your living room full of cash, but you can't get to it. You see all this cash. Oh, you're watching your favorite show. You kick your feet up on the table. Oh, it's great. Look at all that equity I got. Well, you can't get to it. It's great to have, you can brag to your neighbors or brag to everybody about all the equity you got. But when it comes to fixing the car or medical bills or something like that, it doesn't do you any good. It's not like we can take a picture of our house and go down to the grocery store and, get your groceries and hand over the picture and pay for your groceries that way. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. So equity is great, but if you don't have access to it, it really doesn't do you any good in retirement or at all. So the reverse mortgage is really designed to get people access to their equity. So that big glass coffee table full of cash, well, the reverse mortgage is basically a drawer where you can, pull out equity when you need it. If you don't need it, you just keep it in there. You still got all the cash there. You just don't have not have access to it. So secondly, it can eliminate the need to make a mortgage payment out of pocket, freeing up cash to pay for home health care services. So let's say you're making a $1,500 payment, principal and interest. Well, what if all of a sudden you didn't have that $1,500 payment? You could probably pay for other services and still live in your home for the rest of your life. You could also receive cash each month as like an annuity. So basically it's called a tenured payment, where you receive funds back from the reverse mortgage each month to supplement your income. A lot of people don't choose that option. This is just a little secret here. I'm not trying to sugarcoat this for you and make it sound like it's the best thing since sliced bread. But, a lot of people don't choose that option because you don't get that much. If people have the expectation, I'm going to get $2,000 to $3,000 a month back each month, and we can set it up that way. We certainly can. But your term is probably going to be really short. Like you get that much back for maybe 2 to 3 to 4 years, something like that. And then you would exhaust all your funds at the end of that. Now, if you're waiting for a pension to kick in or some sort of an annuity or something like that, it might not be a bad idea to set things up that way, but everybody's situation is different. By and large, though, most people choose the line of credit because it does give you the most freedom. If you want to take cash out on a line of credit, you can. If you don't want to take it, then you don't have to. And the amount that you don't take out is going to grow over time. So it's almost like having a second savings account. One of the things that's happened with an increase in interest rates, it hasn't all been bad. If you have a reverse mortgage line of credit and rates are in the 7s, well, guess what? Your growth is going to be in the 7s as well on that line of credit. So a lot of things to think about when looking at this program, but I would always advise you to go to somebody who's knowledgeable about these programs if you're looking to take one out on your own, or if you want to learn more about it. Again, I'm always available, but there's a lot of really knowledgeable people out here that work with this program. There's also a lot of people who don't know what's going on too. One of the things that happened in the mortgage business is that everybody was depending on refinances when the rates were in the 2s. So business was just falling out of the sky. I didn't have to work for it at all. Everybody wanted and needed to know a mortgage person. So what happened? Well, a lot of new people said, hey, there's a ship's coming in for these mortgage folks. Maybe we got to get a piece of the action here. So they started, basically doing mortgages. And then when rates went up, all that business dried up overnight. They went up sharply too. So all of a sudden, these folks who are doing well with these refinances says, well, I got to put food on the table. I'll start doing reverses. So they got into the business, and some of them are very knowledgeable. I don't want to give you the wrong idea, but I can tell you this much. The best advocate for my business is my competition. I see it time and time again. Folks will come to me for a second opinion, and I'll tell them exactly, even if they don't end up going with me, if I'm not licensed in the state or something like that, and I have no problem walking people through the process. I really believe in service, and I know that's the best way for me to prosper and to have a purpose-driven life. So even if I'm not involved in the transaction, I'll let them know, okay, this is how they structured it. You got to ask them about this. Well, ask them about this. Ask them about that. So they go back to their person they're working with, and, oh, yeah, I'm sure glad you asked me to ask him about that, because he was able to go back to his boss there. So anyways, make sure you're working with someone who knows what they're doing. I mean, that goes for everything, especially cars. Basically, and this is designed to go over with home healthcare companies, because home healthcare, in my opinion, go hand in glove with the reverse mortgage. Same thing with life insurance. But clients have worked their entire life people have worked their entire life for the home. It's time to let their home work for them. The reverse mortgage with Chariot Financial, number one thing is you get to retain ownership. There's so much misinformation out here about this program. I was talking to someone this week who said, oh, we didn't want to do a reverse mortgage because it will affect our Social Security. What? Where did you hear that? Did you hear that from your uncle down the street? Did you hear that from some guy? Who you been talking to? Social Security is not affected at all by a reverse mortgage. It's not taxable income. It's not income at all if you take money from a reverse mortgage. One, they can't tax it. Two, they can't consider it income. Why? Because you do got to pay it back. It is a loan. So any money you take out from a reverse mortgage, you do have to pay back. But it's the only program that's due the day after you leave the property permanently. So whether that's to a facility or whether it's to, and again, I'm not advocating to go into facilities because I think that that's the best way to run through your entire nest egg quickly. Or if you pass, there's two guarantees in life, right? So once you pass, this is the only program that's due the day after you die. So number two reason people do reverse mortgage, I was talking to one of my clients about this morning, it's peace of mind. My gosh, not having to worry about cracking that nut every single month to get out the funds so that you can do a reverse mortgage, so that you can make a mortgage payment. My gosh, that's pretty stressful sometimes, especially if you're on a fixed income and you're pulling from your savings to make it happen each month. How long is the savings going to last? So number three reason, it can pay for medical special services like home health care. So if you have a line of credit, and a lot of people like to take these out and just open up that line of credit just as a safety net. We have a lot of folks, surprisingly, that do a reverse mortgage that own their homes free and clear. They don't have a mortgage payment, nor do they want one, but they know they have equity. And with that equity, if you don't have anything in place, it's not doing you any good. It's just kind of sitting there. So opening up a line of credit really creates a financial safety net for folks. Unforeseen medical expenses, of course, and if you want to travel, sometimes people use a reverse mortgage for that as well. Well, once again, my name is Zach Smith. I own Chariot Financial. We are reverse mortgage experts here. If you want to learn more, or you want to get to know me, or you just want to have a cup of coffee or something like that, you can always reach out to us at our website at chariotreverse.com. Once again, that's chariotreverse.com. One more time, chariotreverse.com. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and may blessings shine down upon you and your family like 1,000 suns. Thank you very much.